Folks, hello and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at the Tenkar's Tavern blog, Discord server, MeWe group, Facebook group, Twittering, Instagram, all these fucking places that I probably don't religiously share to, but what can I say? So we hit 1,000 subscribers yesterday. I think we actually hit 1,002. And this morning we dipped down to 997. And now we're back to listen, we're back to 1,000. We're effectively at 1,000. I'm sure we're gonna dip and jump and swing and all that shit. But that's because of you. We're there because of you. If you watch, if you listen, I don't care whether it's on YouTube or Anchor or one of the other podcast servers. Thank you. Now, why do you listen to me? Well, because I'm an opinionated fuck at times, right? We all know that. And I might be your bartender, but I'm your occasionally obnoxious bartender that dares tell you the truth. And I apologize, not for telling you the truth, but for being obnoxious. I mean, it just kind of comes and goes with what you get. What you see here is certainly the unvarnished Tenkar. So, we have purposely avoided talking about that not so secret list that is going around for many reasons. Probably the most important reason, in my opinion, is we haven't talked about it because it doesn't stress the positive; it stresses the negative, right? It stresses these are the publishers you should not partake from. These are the publishers you should not support. These are the creators that are verboten. And if you look at this list and you look through it and you go, and you make your own decision. If this is part of your decision making process, fine. But I'm sure for a large number of people, they're looking at this list and going, oh, look, Bunt Munch Publishing is in the red list because, oh, no, they're claimed as being woke, so we have to avoid them. But I was backing their Kickstarter. I gotta cancel Butt Munch. Do your own fucking research, all right? So, like I said, lists like this tend to stress the negative. So I was, and initially, the only mention of yours truly, which was pointed out to me by an industry, somebody well known in the industry who's like, dude, you're mentioned on page, like, I don't know, 67, 87, something like that, where they're like, well, Tenkar should be added to the red list because of his stand on censorship. He believes people should be censored. And then they're like, well, he ain't even a publisher. He's just a blogger. Well, I'm a bit more than a blogger. I do these fucking videos, right? And I do publish a few things. So actually, I was surprised when I was actually added to the list. I'm not gonna share the list because, again, if you're using this as a tool in your repertoire as you're gonna go through and say where should I support, where should I shouldn't, and it's one of many tools that you use, that's fine. If this is the only tool that you use and you're letting one fucking individual, now when I say one individual, I will say this: I don't the person that started this list, Ocule or Ocule, whatever, he's not the one that's been editing this list. One person's been editing this list, and who has that been? The RPG Pundit, who last edited it on September 12th, so 4 days ago. So, whatever's on this list, it doesn't belong to the original poster if somebody else is editing the list. So, but why am I bringing this up? Because it actually has something nice to say about me, which I'm surprised, because I'm going to go over why I'm surprised in a second. Yes, Kitty, I hope you heard that. She's like, I'm not surprised. Yes, you are. Tenkar's Tavern, Eric Tenkar blog and community, a neutral ground for an RPG community. And we do hold that, right? We kind of stick to that. However, we'll continue. Had some drama a few years ago about getting someone pulled from one bookshelf for a subscription having ACAB on it. By the way, My complaint with One Bookshelf, just to be clear, was that all cops are bastards, ACAB, had nothing to do with the item description, didn't belong there. No problem with the product itself. It wasn't in the product itself. It was on the landing page, the sales page. Therefore, I felt that drive-through should just remove that line. I had nothing to do other than that. All right. If One Bookshelf said, "Hey, you're fucking with our system, and we're gonna pull you," that's not on me. That's on the jackass that played the system. Personally. Now, for those who don't realize, I am a retired cop. So yes, if you decide to make a political statement, left or right, I am going to mention it when, let's say, it mentions my profession. I'm gonna have to mention it. Which ruffled some feathers on the anti-censorship side. However, he has contributed so much good to the hobby. He has produced a few supplements on Drive-Thru RPG. So much good to the hobby. It's sad to me to hear that have to come from the RPG site. And I have a lot of respect for what the pundit has written when it comes to RPGs. I don't always agree with him and his politics, but I'm going to assume this came from the pundit, and I will thank him for that. Now, criticism that I have gotten recently because of being a neutral ground is that by being a neutral ground, I can only be a neutral ground because I am privileged. Now, what I find to be interesting, now, and maybe I'm going to find this interesting because gaming, and here's I'm going to pull the bandage off the open sore here. RPGs tend to be overwhelmingly male and white. Yes, there are people of color. Yes, there are women. Yes, there are people of different genders within the gaming community. But if you were going to just make a generalization, oh, what's the typical D&D player that's a grognard? You're going to say male white. You'd probably be right. All right? Not saying that that's right or wrong to be drawn as conclusions, but you know what? Maybe it is a right conclusion to draw. So the people that have generally criticized me for being neutral when it comes to politics in general, uh, how I run my communities, how I run my social media, have they have criticized me for being neutral and have told me that I am privileged and therefore that's the only reason I can be neutral are white males. Now again, majority of gamers are. My guesstimate is white males. So yes, likely they're going to be white males, but if you're going to criticize me for my privilege, maybe you should be somebody who, by your own definition, doesn't have privilege, right? I would certainly consider somebody who you are saying is underprivileged. If they criticize me, I'd be like, all right, well, you know what? It's coming from somebody who might be less privileged than me. I might have to consider what they're saying. But when it's somebody who falls under the same definitions of me, and by the way, when they said that I'm privileged, they're like, well, yeah, I am privileged. I am privileged to serve this community. Just like I was privileged for 20 years to serve the city of New York, New York. It was a calling. It was a privilege. I consider myself blessed to have been a cop for 20 years. It made me a better person. I served my time, my last years in internal affairs. Guess what? I didn't do it because people would love me. Because you know what? To the general populace, you're still a fucking cop. And to fucking cops, you're fucking IAB. All right? But I did it because it's a job that needed to get done and it needed to get done honestly. I regard what I do for this community, whether it's looking at Kickstarters that are screwing over members of the community, people that are potentially fucking with the community, people on that level, I regard that as my community service. All right, has nothing to do with the color of my skin or my gender or my sexual orientation or any of that stuff. It all has to do with service to this community. So, I am actually surprised and almost a little bit. I almost feel a little hurt that I have to go to the RPG site to find a statement where he has contributed so much good to the hobby. And yet, the people that I feel I've been doing the most good for are the ones that criticize me for not doing enough. And guess what? They're not the ones that should be criticizing. Because whatever privilege I might have based upon my color of my skin or my gender or my biological sex is the same privilege that they suffer from. Or maybe suffering is not the right word, but maybe it is. I don't know. Because it gets a little dissonance right now and it makes me scratch my head. But for the thousands of you that have subscribed to this channel and for the thousands of others who have yet to subscribe, please, if you want to support what I do, if you want to support me, my partners in crime, Bad Mike, Glenn Hallstrom, Joe the lawyer, my wife Rach. If you want to support us, the best things you can do, like, subscribe, and comment. I am not going to be perfect. I will never be perfect. I don't strive for perfection. I strive to do what I perceive to be right. Will I fail on occasions? Certainly. Will I fall on the sword? If you followed the blog, you know I've fallen on a sword multiple times over the years. But I'm never going to be perfect. And for anybody who expects me to be perfect in their vision of what the world should be, guess what? You will so fail. Because I will never fit your definition of perfection. I'll never meet my definition of perfection. All right, but I'll continue doing what I believe I'm doing for the community in their best interest. And I think that's all I can ask for. And if you need to ask for more, hey, leave it in the comments section. I will definitely read it. Leave a voicemail, 347-509-5168. I love listening to them. I like to get them up on the videos on the podcast. Folks, we are still in the midst of the world of the pandemic. Now, not pandemic related, but I'm not making ShireCon this weekend. Why? My cars decided to take a big muffler shit on my experience of driving, and even if I could get it fixed, it won't be fixed in time. And I'm kind of like, well, it only shows up after doing 35 miles per hour. So hey, guess what? I'll just trade it in. I was going to trade it in at the end of the year anyway. Maybe I'll just trade it in a little bit earlier. So if you were going to ShireCon hoping to see me, I was so prepped for this. I bought, and Rich can actually back this up. I bought 2 coolers, a large cooler and a small cooler, and I bought basically a case of diet ginger beer, and I had my hot tea all cooling, and I was going to fill up the large cooler with all this shit and then take the small cooler from my car to the venue and have this all going ready, and I was all set for a non-alcoholic but really fun weekend at the con, and life just shit up on me. So it is what it is. So if you were going to be at the con, I apologize. I will not be seeing you. What can I say? Life likes to come up and punch you in the nads once in a while, and that was a punch in the nads. All right, folks. On that note,
sorry, you're not in control of this thing.
I'm not in control. Is right.
That's what it said.
That's what it said. And actually, and part of the issue was,
just to let you know,
I had thought I heard something going on with the muffler exhaust pipe for like the last month or so, but I never. New York City has a 25 mile per hour speed limit, so I'm doing 30. But I never heard anything that really. And then going out to Long Island today on the highway, we're doing about 55, 60, and I was like, there's a low flying plane right over us. Because of
Seems
that.
like it's following us.
Yeah, it seems like it's following us, and it's getting louder. And it's like, oh wait, that isn't a low flying plane. That's my car. Oh, son of a bitch. So again, best laid plans of mice and men often go astray, and it went astray here. All right, folks. Be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, and I guess I'll be back tomorrow with Glenn Hallstrom. Oh, that's right. Since I'm not going to be going away, I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow night. Go figure. All right. 8 p.m. tomorrow. I'll look for you there.